Today I'm in the company of Clio Zammatteo, renowned makeup artist, blogger, beauty influencer, TV presenter, YouTube and social media sensation, author of 2 makeup manuals and a novel for Rizzoli, and co-founder of her own cosmetics line, ClioMakeUp. Welcome, Clio, and thank you very much for being in the show today with us.
Thank you, Luca, for having me. It's a pleasure.
So today we'll talk about makeup as an experimental art at the intersection of many different languages and media. We'll also discuss about the Italian way to innovation in the peculiar experience of an Italian female entrepreneur who lives and works in the United States and who successfully combined in her polyvalent activity culture, communication, and industry. I want to start from your story. So you are from Belluno, about an hour north of Venice in the Dolomites region, where you attended the Fine Arts High School. Your background is in painting, and this appears to be a constant resource in your work as a makeup artist. Not just in your eye for colors and chromatic combinations, but also in your attention to their compositions and formulas. How did you apply your painting background to the construction of a face? And how can you turn the human face into a living canvas?
Okay, so color was always my thing since I was like a baby, basically. I remember having a picture of me all painted with like colors that weren't suited for the skin, actually. But I always had an eye for like what is color. And when I started high school, I remember I felt like an outsider. I wasn't the prettiest girl. I wasn't the smartest girl in school. So my world was the world of makeup. I remember going to the how do you say in English? Oh my God, to the store. Okay,
Yeah.
To stores where they were selling makeup, and like spending hours and hours like researching and buying, trying on, but I never had the chance to go outside with those makeup because I didn't felt confident. So growing up, it started to be like a way to escape a reality for me. Mm-hmm. I was doing makeup on other people, like my friends, because they were going to the disco, they were going out. I was always staying home just because I didn't feel confident. And growing up, when I started then video design, that was a few years later, I remember that my colleagues were always asking me to do their makeup for their video because they knew I had this like passion. And so like all of a sudden I started to become the makeup artist of all my friends, and I didn't have any notion. I remember I was just doing it like how I felt it. I didn't have any background in makeup, but it's always something that was like natural to me. Then when I came to New York, I really started to studying, and I remember that what I really love is that from zero you can really shape something, like just by using dark colors and light colors, understanding how they work. If you can do that on a blank page that is flat, you are going to be able to do it on a surface like your skin, like your face, which is not flat, of course. Mm-hmm. So that was always my basic interest, like how to shape just by using 2 colors, dark and light.
So you mentioned this, that you studied at the European Institute of Design.
Yes.
And in Milan, and your specialization was in video design. And
yeah.
I assume this was a time when you began to combine your craft, what you were describing in painting or makeup art for your friends, to actually the design of a visual mass communication or the creation of a video event, if you want.
Yes.
How do you synthesize in your work your personal and unique artistic language on one face into a serial and episodic narration, and also then later into industrial manufacturing, into your line of products? How do you maintain originality there?
Yeah, actually, all my by doing the opposite of what I learned. Because in school, what I've learned is like how to make everything appear better by using lights, by using the right angles. But then when I started doing those videos, I understood that what really was appealing to people is not like the fake that is behind a video, like the construction with lights or like making appear everything more beautiful, but the simple things. So I remember that my first video I had like always like a dark background because I didn't have any lights, or there were like clothes that were hanging in the back because I was like drying them, and that was what really people loved, like feeling at home, like entering in your world. I was living in New York, in this big city where, like, of course, like Italians love New York, so they always have this dream of like coming here, the Big Apple. But on the other hand, like they could see like my reality, which was the same as theirs. So I took everything what I learned from school and I did basically the opposite.
So it's basically a constructed simplicity, can we say?
But it didn't came like I didn't plan it. Mm-hmm. It came out like that. I never thought in the beginning about like what should I do to make that more appealing. What should I do to have people liking me? It came out like natural. Mm-hmm. But it was like that if you think about it now.
No, definitely, this is also the key of Italian fashion as well, like this idea of sprezzatura, Castiglione would say. So the graceful ease, something that comes out simple and natural, and rich and sophisticated at the same time. So not lavish, not chic, but simple and natural, but sophisticated at the same time. So makeup is always associated, or often associated, to ephemerality or impermanence. In your work, however, you constantly refer to it in relation to the elements of quality and duration. Maybe your meticulousness in pursuing formulas that stick together and remain related to your painting apprenticeship, and your obsession for quality, and your insistence on using a product over time, so in your words, to finish a lipstick and not buying one after the other, certainly relates to an experience for you and your customers of prolonged enjoyment, which aspires to overcome ephemeral trends. And this is quite remarkable of your work. And also your care for convincing and balanced results reveals attention to outlast the instant, the occasion, the present, and to turn makeup into really a lasting form of self-fashioning. So makeup is not just a frivolous thing, but really something incredibly serious from what you're doing. What is makeup for you, and what language does it speak?
So I have to go back a little bit. I remember 10 years ago when I started school in New York, I used to love makeup, being obsessed with makeup. I didn't have any money. So I remember I had not that many products, but I loved them. I was obsessed with them. I used them until they finished. Then, while I grew up with popularity, I started having makeup companies sending me makeup. And in the past years, I understood that the more I had, the less I was like attracted by them. I was feeling like kind of sad sometimes when I was receiving these packages. So especially when I launched my makeup line, I wanted to have a product, like have products that people would fall in love with, like I was 10 years ago, and not something that they were actually, like you said, use them once or twice and then put in the back of their mind and never use again. So for me, makeup was like, because I always think about makeup as like a form of self-loving. Like you use makeup because you want to feel pretty, yes, but not just in the eyes of other people. You want to feel pretty in you, like for yourself. So the quality is the most important thing, because if you don't have the quality, you wouldn't use that again. You will use it only once your product. So that's why I always put that much love and that much time into like producing makeup or thinking about makeup tutorial, because now my world is like divided between like the online world where I still do makeup and the other world where I produce makeup. But in both worlds, the most important thing is making something that will last, making something that will make you feel loved by yourself.
Also, kind of the self-love is a love for the people that you're giving the product to.
Yes,
and,
of course.
So in this sense, also what you're saying is related to an Italian model that pursues something that lasts and that overcomes kind of the trend or the logic of consumerism for the sake of consuming for the sake of consuming. So this is quite remarkable. Now, after moving to New York City with your husband, you really constructed around makeup a platform. So a virtual piazza, we would say, where multiple media and forms of knowledge could interact and actually react together. So you developed a blog featuring product reviews and updates on contemporary trends, so criticism and journalism. You started your YouTube channels offering reviews and makeup tutorials, so we would say market analysis and teaching, really.
Yeah.
You translated your experience as a TV presenter into an influential social media presence, so TV and communication. And you collaborated with Vogue, and you published 3 books, so 2 manuals, ClioMakeUp and Clio Beauty Care, and 1 novel, Sei Bella Come Sei, You're Beautiful As You Are. So instruction and literary imagination. And this before co-founding your own ClioMakeUp brand, so innovation and entrepreneurship. So how did the encounter with American culture help you develop this path, your own path, and what were the challenges involved in translating your Italian heritage and vision onto this much larger scale?
So like we said before, when I came to New York, I wasn't really self-aware. I was like really not confident. And I came to New York not speaking English. I remember I only speak German back then because my family, they lived in Germany, they worked there, so the only language that I could speak besides Italian was German. I came here knowing anything, and the culture here, or being like alone in such a big city, helped me come out from my shell. And especially back then, it was 2007, it was when YouTube really started to be big, and those like bloggers came out and started doing video instead of only blogs, and that was my media because I started video, so I was really attracted to them. I was like, wow, that's something I could probably do. And actually my husband is the one that told me to try it. It was like, I know you always watch this video, why don't you try? There is nobody doing it in Italy. You're going to a school, so you have something to teach actually. Because what I didn't want to do is like speak without knowing. Like that's something that a lot of people do, but I wanted to be able to speak about things that I was learning actually every day. So I remember it was like a diary for me. I was going to school during the day, and then the next day when the school was out, I was like taking everything what I learned the day before and doing for the Italian market basically, which was like something that nobody was doing back then because there were only big makeup artists which kept their secret because they were afraid that if they were share their secret, other people will like take their job. In my case, it was the opposite. I was taking all the secret and explaining to regular people. So I could have not done that probably if I was still in Italy, just because I never felt really confident in Italy, and here I got the confidence from people around me from living in like such a big city with like such a different like style, like, and especially the trends, like everything that we had here in the beginning. Now it's different because now we are more connected, products arrived to Italy, but back then I remember that most of the companies that were here selling makeup, they weren't selling makeup in Italy. And most of the fashion was happening here. And I had the possibility to go to fashion shows or to work with photographers through my school. So everything that I learned, I was like sharing it with my market, and that made the difference. They always ask me if I would have done that if I was in Italy, and I always say no, I don't think I would have done it.
This is also touching the core of the podcast, which is basically getting to discover a story through the encounter with another culture.
Yes.
The encounter with the you sparks the question, what makes me me, and what makes me unique? So in this sense, also the fun of sharing that you were describing is the fun of putting out there the stories that one learns.
Yes.
Also in an academic research as a way to share them and make them even more relevant by sharing them. So now your business is not just about your products, but really about your lifestyle and your persona, and that's kind of the credibility of your brand really lies in your mastery of the field, or we would say in your authorship. So as someone authoring pieces, so making them original, unique, or in Latin, author means someone who makes you grow. So it's quite interesting that actually Dante would use the same terms, so master and author, to describe his credible guide, Virgil, in the Divine Comedy. And I was thinking you might be a similar guide for girls in your makeup tutorials. In a way, what I find fascinating in your entrepreneurial drive, it's really the constant reference to the humanities, in a way. And to kind of an Italian Renaissance model of a well-rounded personality, who's able to connect the various spheres of life in a unique synthesis. So, can you tell us something about the impact Italian culture had on your success, or point at Italian figures that inspired you?
The Italian figure that inspires me are like mother and grandmothers, basically, because makeup is always perceived as something that is fashionable, something that models wear. But in my case, it was always about the regular people, the people that go out, they have like 10 minutes to get ready and then they have to go to work. So like my grandmother, my mother, which they don't know anything about makeup. They are like bombarded because in the past years, makeup has become so big that company come out every day with something new and something that you don't even know how to use if you don't read the instruction, which it shouldn't be like that. I always think makeup should be something that is fun, not something that you have to read about and like try to understand how to use it. So for me, the people that are around me are my main are the main people that I look at, and that's why I think it was such a big difference when I came out also with my makeup line, because I was not talking to the Instagram people, but I was talking to really like all the people that work and that love makeup or just want something to feel better in a few minutes. So I always try to do the opposite of what is really happening in the makeup world. Like right now, Instagram is so big, but I always tell people what you see on Instagram is like such a small thing. And when you go around, you never see people wearing those type of makeup. So I always try to speak to people that really actually use makeup and they don't have 2 hours to get ready, or like professional lights, or they don't use Photoshop to change their appearance. Because also like with the surgery in the past year, the world has changed. Like people don't accept themselves. Like we had a boom of like young people under 18 that went under surgery just to feel just to be like their picture, which is like something that is crazy to me. Like that's why I don't use filter in my video. I never use a filter or in my picture. I want to show people what it's really like, my skin or my flaws, because makeup is like really self-loving, and you can't love yourself if you try to manipulate every image of yourself.
So it's a very interesting model of grounded innovation, which starts from kind of reality, the observation of reality, rather than the overimposition of an image, and also, if I may, from the Italian model of the workshop. Learning from your mother, your grandmother. An example of this might be the line of Laura Biagiotti in fashion. So a 3-generation business where the experience of learning is really a craft that is communicated via experience. It's a knowledge that is communicated via experience in an artisanal way. And this is one of the keys of the Italian model of innovation and quality. So it's quite interesting what you were saying. Now, in addition to your ability to combine kind of a critical discourse, the reviews, and storytelling, really about your product, a key ingredient of your success unequivocally lies in your incredible capacity to connect with your public, which is what you were saying, and especially kind of your female audience. So how does being a woman support and inform your entrepreneurial inventiveness and creativity? And if I may, how does being a wife and a mother help you carve an original way to business?
I think it's like we said before, by being relatable. I'm like, if you look at my video or my picture, you can relate to myself because I'm the friend next door. I can be your daughter. I can be your granddaughter. I mean, I'm a person that never change appearance, that doesn't try to change with makeup, but try just to feel better. And what I always liked from the beginning is not talking about only makeup, but I always talked about a little bit of my personal life, what I went through, so people can really relate, because I never felt pretty when I was younger. I still have like problem with self-confidence, or like I talk about how hard it is, like sometimes with like a baby, to do still my work, because now we have like, I'm working with my husband and we have a big company, but we are in the US. Most of the people that we work with are in Italy. So I'm really relatable. But at the end, they see that I did something. So they are like attracted to my story, because they're like, they can see from where I started. They can see that I'm a regular person, but that after a few years, I was able to bring up a company, have like more than 30 people working for us. So they kind of think I did it. I was able to do something in my life, so that I'm inspired. So that's something that always comes out, especially when I do some meetings in Italy. They always say like they're inspired by my story, because they see a people, like a person that could be them, but that did something in life without searching like a fast way to do it. I always did things really slowly. Like my makeup line came out 3 years ago, but I remember in 2009 I started having like a big following, and people were telling me like, do it now, otherwise you're going to not do it, because the internet is so fast, they're not going to remember you in a few years. But I always took things really slowly. So, and that's another important point. Right now, especially with the young generation, they want everything right now. They want the popularity, they want the money, they want free clothes, they want everything. But I always say to people that if you really want something that lasts and that grows, you have to take your time and do your choice, think about them. So, yeah.
This is also the Italian model of the slow but good kind of growth. But
I think it changed a little bit, because one thing is to be slow one thing it was to be slow like 20 years ago. Right now with the internet, we always say the internet is so fast. So for some people it's scary to think about going slow in this area. But I always thought like if something it's meant to be, if you do something with love, if you are really passionate about it, you don't have to be scared by the internet or how fast the internet is moving.
Mm-hmm. Also because like the most beautiful stories really are those that grow over time, and in a way what you're describing about your product is like in a book if you want, is really the ability to create meaning out of a product. The product is not just a product. As we were saying in previous episodes, food is not just food. Wine is not just wine. Fashion is not just fashion for an Italian. Makeup is not just makeup, but there's something more. There's a story in it, and in this sense, this is truly inspiring and creates the ability to connect with other people. Now, one last question. For an entrepreneur and an author like you, it seems like culture plays a great part of your success. And How does culture, or beauty if you want, become not just elements of external appeal, but rather a key drive for creative, innovative solutions?
Well, by thinking about the beauty, what it really means. I mean, to me, beauty is not about just like feeling pretty, but it's feeling like better overall. Beauty is not something that is only meant for women. Like if I think about my husband, he loves to get a massage to feel better. Or like if I think about a perfume, it's not just like a smell, but it's something that reminds you of like memories from when you were younger, of something that brings you back to something nice. So that's like, I will say that, wait. Remind me, what was the last question? Like the end of the question. Sorry.
So what is, how is beauty a key drive for creative, innovative solutions?
I would say like it's like by thinking like 360 degrees, like what makes you feel good. So I can when I think about a new product, I don't think just about okay, this product is going to be nice because this color is nice, but I feel like about a story that I can tell, like the name that I choose, the texture that I choose, the sensation that you have when you try something. I always think when people receive this product, they have to have an experience. So it's just not like something that they put on and okay, that's it. But they have to go back to something that makes them feel better. I would say it's that.
Yeah, no. It's fantastic because the idea of beauty is not the beauty for the sake of beauty, but it's something that is related to the construction of a persona, of a self, but also to the construction of an experience. And in a way, this is also related to the construction of how fragrance or how cosmetics or our fashion creates the self. So
I feel like that's something that is related to when I was younger, and I still think about it every time. What made me really fall in love with makeup was like really escaping a word that wasn't like a happy word for me, by like really experience something with this word of beauty, which is not about only makeup, but it is so much more than makeup, because it's like really feeling better with yourself. And especially now in a world that changed so quickly, and like in a city like New York where everyone is like always like think about work, I always think about what is more than like you have to think about more than just work. You have to feel better about yourself, and that's why I always take my moments. I go to take massage, I go to the spa, I go to the swimming pool, just because, or to the gym a lot, because beauty is more. It's like really feeling better. It's not just like looking better.
Not just the external facade, but really something that makes sense. That carries a meaning and it makes us enjoy life a lot. So, well, thank you.
We have to enjoy it.
No, definitely. Also, because at the end of the way, you have to enjoy also what you're doing at the time you're here. So, thank you very much for this incredibly interesting conversation. And we talked about makeup as an art and a malleable language of beauty, able to connect several languages, spheres, and media. We also discussed about the impact of Italian culture in developing innovative business models. So this kind of idea of the 360 dimension of a product. We talked about femininity and entrepreneurship. We talked about craft and industry, authorship and mass communication. So thank you very much for the chat. It was very, very interesting.
Thank you, Luca. And
also you can find all the other episodes of Italian Innovators on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, and YouTube. And you can subscribe to the podcast at www.italianinnovators.com. And don't forget to leave a review of this episode or follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter at Luca Cottini or at IDA Innovators. Thanks again for being with us, and thanks everybody for listening. Arrivederci, alla prossima.
Ciao ciao.